Boston selects Matt Duffy, a right-handed pitcher from Canisius College.
Folks are ready for Duffy's 2-2, and he takes it on the corner for strike three. A career-high 9 strikeouts and 5 scoreless innings for Matt Duffy, and more donuts than 5 from Fredman's Baseball Network.
This is D-Money with the Moneyball channel. I wanted to take a second to shout out a couple of my real good sponsors here before I start this interview. Ball Players Balm. I've had a lot of ball players recently, and if you're not using this product, you're crazy. I'm going to talk to Matt about it in a minute, but they sent me a shipment of this stuff, oils, ointments, glove conditioners, just amazing product that I think everybody should be using. Shout out to Johnny Damon and A-Game, another refreshment drink similar to Gatorade that should be taking over the market soon. It tastes good. They use a little bit of honey in there and it tastes good. It's good stuff. And then a shout out to Knockarounds. Matt Duffy, what is up, man?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm just in my off season now, so I'm chilling right now.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Highest ever pick from Canisius College, which is local here in Buffalo, and fourth round Boston Red Sox. How's that feel to call yourself a Boston Red Sox?
It's awesome. I mean, I've enjoyed myself ever since I got drafted by them. Obviously, I just got them out of my first pro season, and it was pretty much anything I kind of expected, but it's everything that I've pretty much asked for. Like, it's just I'm pretty much living the dream right now, so I'm just kind of enjoying every step of the way.
I love hearing that, bro. And a couple of guys recently I spoke with were drafted this year in 24. So I'm not going to go over your whole, you've told
Yeah.
that story a bunch of times. You were drafted in 23 and you've already played, like you just said, you finished up your first year in pro ball. And that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about. What was that first season like? What was it like, I guess, stepping out there in spring training with those guys last year?
Yeah, so last year I actually got to spring training very early. I got there like early January. So I kind of got acclimated pretty quickly with how things were going to be run a little bit. Actually, I was there in the fall too. So I was at the facility a bunch in Fort Myers. But I think getting there early in spring training, seeing a bunch of different guys, getting to know a bunch of guys kind of made me a bit more comfortable heading into especially spring training when every single guy is at the facility. Like there's like 180 players probably
Yeah.
all in one place. So I think that helped me with my comfortability. Heading into the season, I was in low A the entire year. I started out pretty flat. Pitches weren't moving all that great. I was throwing kind of hard, but not what I wanted to be at. But then it's like halfway through the year, I gained a decent amount of weight because that's what their goal was for me to do. My fastball went up like 2 mile an hour average. And then because of that, everything just played off a lot better. And then I started pitching a lot better. So I think I ended the year really strong. I still stayed in low A, but I mean, my goal heading into this year is to start in high A. So, but I think that is probably, hopefully that's what happens. I
Listen,
mean,
when you get drafted as high as you did, there's expectations from the Red Sox, right? And I didn't mean to cut you off there, but as far as staying in low A the whole year and staying injury free, right? Knock on something and having a good year, I think it's natural, right? That you started a little rusty and then it progressed. You saw that natural progression, especially you're working with trainers, the best in the world. You're working with coaches, the best in the world, guys that are specifically telling you, hey, do this. Did you change a lot of your mechanics or was it primarily just bulking up?
I think for me, primarily just bulking up. I was at Canisius, I was probably 200, like maybe 205, like at the max. But during the season, I was 215 this year. So I think that, but then also I changed my warm-up routines and like my prep routines a lot based off of because my stride line, I was getting too closed off. So they were having me do prep stuff to like open my hips up and do whatever to help with that. So that really ended up helping me, I think, kind of just open myself up. I was moving better. And I think moving better with the combination of also being a bit heavier just kind of helped
How
me.
hard is that? How hard is that, when you have a certain way that you're used to doing things your whole life, and obviously you're used to doing it successful,
Mhm.
because of the position you're in. How hard is it to make little changes? Just even a little bit of difference or a stance or something. How hard is it to kind of train the mind and body to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just from a smaller perspective, I feel like I've been like such an athlete my whole life. Like I've played so many different sports that when like there's little changes that I need to make, I feel like I make them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like I'm not someone that takes like a week or two to try and fix like a mechanical adjustment. Usually I can do it in that same pen.
Okay.
So for me, it was very quick, and it's not like my routines changed all that much. It was just adding to my routines. So that's kind of what helped. Like I was still doing a lot of the stuff I was already doing at Canisius, but it was just kind of adding on little things here and there. So I think it helped me in the long run. It really wasn't really all that hard, I guess, to add.
I've watched you pitch, and I think one of the most attractive things about what you do is your repertoire, man. You got a couple weapons there, you know. Obviously, if you can throw 103 miles an hour, you know, that can be your primary weapon.
Yeah.
You're 95, 96 to have the tools you have. I think I read curve, slider, changeup, right?
hmm
Not everybody's coming to the table with 4 or 5 pitches. Did you have those pitches at Canisius?
Yeah. So I think as I was growing up, I've always had fastball, changeup, slider, and I think since high school, I've been able to pretty much throw them all for strikes, which has helped me a lot. Like being able to just throw 3 pitches for strikes is kind of huge, especially when you're in high school and even in college too. So that helped me a lot. But in college, I threw fastball, changeup, slider. My slider is more of like a sweeper. So then when I got into pro ball and into spring training, they started to add a gyro slider to me and then make my slider that I had before more of a sweeper. So I was working on different grips and whatnot during spring training, and then I ended up finishing out the year with a cutter. And so say like my fastball is like 92, 94, touching 5, like my cutter was like 87, 89, which
Okay.
I think was actually pretty good. And like
Yeah.
for me, like I pronate really well. Like that's why my changeup's my best pitch is because
Okay.
I just naturally pronate. So for me, I couldn't like I can't supinate well. So for me to try and throw a cutter, like I was working on so many different grips and it was so weird, but it was like I finally came to one, so that was good. But for me, it's just trying to get past the zero horizontal break, like trying to get in the negatives. That's all I'm trying to do, which is like if I get it to 0, -1, like that's perfect for me. But yeah, it's tough, but it's coming along still.
And you're using all the analytics and all the machines and all the stuff to tell you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We use TrackMan for every one of our bullpens, and
Yeah.
then obviously we have TrackMan during our games too. So we get reports twice a week.
You know, what you had just said about the cutter, you know, I noticed and I'm a big Atlanta Braves fan, right? And I have my pitchers I've always followed. And one thing I like about Strider, and I noticed last year, I mean, unfortunately he got hurt early, but you know, I was watching him early in the season in Pittsburgh, and everybody goes to watch that fastball, right? That lights out fastball. And he added, I think it's a cutter, right? It's kind of a mixed cutter at 87, you know, 88 miles an hour.
Yeah.
In the game I was there, you know, and you know, I was like everybody else. I guess I'm going to see the fastball as well. He wasn't throwing it, you know. I mean, he was throwing. It was like he was working on this thing, and he was so happy, and it was working for him, you know. And everybody batting was expecting this 100-mile-an-hour pitch, so he had everybody tricked, you know. And it was just it's crazy how chameleon you guys can be, right, and just adapt to different pitches.
Yeah, that's why, like, especially for a guy like Strider that throws 100, like, if you go out and you just completely switch your game plan from your fastball and throw anything else, like, all the hitters will just be
Yeah,
you've already won.
yeah.
So if you're able to land those pitches, like, you're just you've already won against them. So
Do you
it's
think
just that weird, like, art of pitching in a way.
totally is?
I think the biggest thing for like injury wise is probably grips. I feel like especially in younger kids, like my dad would always tell me like if you're stressing your fingers to try and grip a baseball, like you're already hurting yourself because you're already stressing your forearms and then that's gonna stress your elbow.
Okay.
So like when I was trying to learn how to throw like a changeup and whatever, like it's slider curveball, like when I was stressing to hold the ball, like I don't have the biggest hands. So like
Right.
for me, like I'm kind of stressing to hold
Right.
different pitches. So when I feel that, like I'm not comfortable throwing that pitch.
Growing up in Toronto, you know, of course, everybody's going to say the same thing. Hockey's their sport. Lacrosse is actually, I think, their sport, you know, but there's a lot of good ball players up in Canada. There's not as many, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of good ball players. My wife's family's from Toronto. We were just actually up in Canada for Thanksgiving, and they're huge baseball fans. Like her whole family, man. Even they're big hockey fans as well. But I feel like Canada's got a huge, backing of baseball support and
Yeah.
a decent national team. And you got a couple of those guys, Freddie Freeman, and a few of those guys playing. What was it like, I guess, growing up in their travel leagues? And when did you really feel like you had something special? Like you were a cut above maybe, the rest of the kids that were playing?
I think growing up in Canada, especially baseball wise, I think it's grown a lot. And like, it's funny you say like most kids play hockey and lacrosse because they do, but I never did. So like, I don't have that point of view to like have their point of view of like how baseball seems. Like I've always felt that baseball is pretty popular just because that I've
Yeah,
always played
yeah.
it. I've played a bunch of other sports, but I just never played hockey or lacrosse. So I don't know their perspective on
Never
it.
picked
But
up a stick?
well, I played ball hockey for 3 years. So, I mean, I know how to play. I know how to play. I just can't skate. Like
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
can't
say
skate.
you're an
I can't
athlete.
skate.
Yeah, you're an athlete, so you know how to play. It's the skating
Yeah.
part. And I'll be honest, man,
Yeah.
like I was obsessed with hockey when I was younger, and I couldn't skate. I played baseball and everything else, but it's one of those things that it's funny because my son plays travel hockey and travel baseball, and the reason is kind of the seasons, right? So we're a huge baseball family, and I guess like any dad, your dream. Actually, my dream is for him to play D1 somewhere, or get up to that level. I'm pretty realistic with things, come from a certain talent pool, which isn't to say at all that the kid can't make it. But even you, for example, I think your dad played at some level of ball, right?
Mhm.
So usually you cut down that tree, bro. You see the lines. There's
Yeah.
usually somebody there that played at some level. It's rare. I guess it does happen, but it's rare that you have no athletic background and the kid comes out and Grace Agati's whipping 103 mile an hour balls. But it's just cool to see, kind of the path that you've had. And I wouldn't really say an unlikely scenario, but I just love to see the attention that Canisius and some local Buffalo schools are getting, obviously being, from Buffalo. And
Yeah.
the past couple of years have been crazy, man. Something in the water. Like what do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I think just because of how good our team was in 2022 with like the likes of say Max Grant, self, Jackson. Well, Jackson was in his first year of college, so he hadn't played all that much, but I mean, he still did good, but like our team was filthy, so like I think we kind of just rolled to a championship and then I don't know. I don't know the scene of baseball in Buffalo all that much because like I mean, I haven't been there. I haven't been around Buffalo in like a year and a bit, but
You were just there for Canisius too, right? Like
yeah.
did you play up in Canada up until Canisius?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
never in the States, but with our travel baseball teams, we would go down to like Indiana,
Okay.
Ohio, Michigan, places like that to just play tournaments. So the way it works in Canada is there's no high school baseball. Like there's high school baseball, but it's like 5 games a year. Nobody cares to play for it. Like you're
Okay.
with your summer ball program year round.
Okay. Okay.
So there's rep baseball, which is just like your city's team. You just play other cities. But then now the new development has been like travel baseball programs, and you face other travel baseball programs around Ontario. When I was 13, I moved to the Fieldhouse Pirates, which are 5 minutes down the road, where I'm from in Burlington. And I was there until 15U. They're a travel ball program. They face teams like the Toronto Mets. Have you heard of the Ontario Blue Jays?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
Yeah, them, Great Lake Canadians,
Okay.
and a couple other teams. So all those teams form a league and you all just play each other.
Okay.
But then you also take those teams and then you go to just tournaments in the States to like fill different weekends.
Gotcha.
And then that essentially is how we get seen by schools
Yeah.
going to the States because not many schools are coming up to Canada to come watch us.
Exactly. That's
Um,
interesting. It's almost like hockey would be in the States to a point,
yeah,
You go up to Canada to those bigger tournaments. A lot of that happens with hockey. So it's almost the opposite. It's like you're flipping script with the two sports.
exactly. The scene in travel baseball is a lot different, but I know now it's even more different. Like I think rep baseball, which I mentioned before, is just non-existent at this point. And I think it's just only travel ball teams.
It's becoming a little bit. I've had so many guests on where we've gotten into youth sports and we've talked about, the trajectory of youth sports. And it's really kind of a tough subject because there's so many negatives about it right now. I'm not going to get into it too much because I just seem to almost every show, especially if I'm talking to like retired MLB players or something. It's funny to kind of compare when they were kids to what it is now. It's become this elitist type organization, man. Like I love what you just said because it's so, the town or rec ball, it doesn't exist. I mean, when I was a kid,
No.
it was like you played for your township. If you were good, you went to an all-star game. If you had a lot of money and you were good, then you played travel and went to this
Yeah.
next level of things, and it's crazy now, what it is and just the whole process of it. And a lot of overzealous parents, man, a lot of just elitists who, again, kind of trying to live out their dream through their kids. My whole thing, man, I want my kids to enjoy what they're doing,
Oh
because
yeah.
as you will vouch for, you got to have fun playing ball, right? I mean,
Oh
that's,
yeah.
you know, what do you have
Well,
to,
that's why it's crazy to me because I feel like I see so many parents putting in their kids in like travel ball programs when they're like 8, 9, 10 years old, or like putting them in travel teams like in the States for baseball. It's like, why are you doing that? Like let him play with his friends
I know.
until he's like 12, 13, knows that he actually wants to play baseball,
Thank
and
you.
then put him
Thank
into a
you.
travel ball program. It's like when you're the age of 8, 9, 10, like you're playing multiple sports.
Yeah.
Why, hopefully you're playing multiple sports and like you don't even know what you want to do yet. So that's why I just think it's crazy that people put so much money into that to maybe even their kid quitting baseball at 12 years old. Like it's confusing, but that's just kind of the trajectory of where it's going just because people want to commit as early as they can. Like parents want their kid to like be better than all the other kids, so they're gonna pay
100%.
like a certain amount of
Money,
money for them to
man.
do something or like go to showcases when they're
Right.
12 years old. It's like that's crazy.
Little do they know that little Johnny, no matter how much you pay, is never going to be, hitting 102 on the gun or blasting 48 home runs in Major League Baseball. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like little Johnny just wants to play with his friends.
Little Johnny's still picking his nose, playing some Xbox, man. He don't care what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So when do you head down? You heading down in February, early February?
I
January?
head down middle of January, January 19th. So at least I get a couple weeks here longer to spend with family.
Are you
But
are you are you golf side? I go down to spring training every year. Lakeland is real close to my folks' place with the Tigers. You guys are down. Where are you guys? South of
we're Fort Myers, so
Fort
we're
Myers. Okay.
Gulf side. We're like
Yeah.
I don't even know what the closest like major city is, but
I think you're close actually to Venice. Northport is where the Braves' new facility is. You're about 45 minutes from there. The Braves have this unbelievable new facility, man. But that's got to be exciting going back now that you have a year under your belt, right? To kind
yeah.
of, now you know what it's like. You've
Mm,
been there. You're kind of a, it's only been a year, but you're almost a consummate professional. Now you can welcome the new guys. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
What are your expectations this year, I guess, from yourself, and where in a perfect world, where do you see yourself at the end of this season?
In a perfect world, at this point, I know I'm probably gonna start in high A. I've definitely proven myself that I can pitch in low A, so I'm assuming that they're gonna put me in high A.
Yeah.
But in a perfect world, I would want to end in double A.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many starting pitchers in our minor leagues right now, and it's just like stacked with guys that they're like pretty high on. So I know it's going to be tough moving up, but I know that if I pitch well consecutively, like anything can happen. So in a perfect world, yes, I would want to end in double A.
Yeah, you have the right attitude for a pitcher, man. You really do, right? And I wouldn't expect you to say, "Oh, well, I hope I graduate to," you know what I mean? You have confidence
Yeah.
and it exudes, and that's good. And that's what organizations want to see. Like, they rolled the dice with you. They
Hmm.
said, "Hey, we're gonna invest our pick, into Matt," and I'm sure they want to see confidence. That's
Yeah.
probably music to their ears hearing you say what you just said, man. I'm excited to follow your career and stay very involved. Might even come down this year, check you out in spring training. It's a wild ride, man.
Oh yeah, I
And
know. I mean, just from being or just finishing my first year, like it's a lot. Like I think I was telling people that the most games I've ever played was maybe, or in 1 year was probably like 70. And this year I was in 132 games. So it's a lot different. I mean, obviously I'm not playing in all of them, but like
Right, right.
just watching that many games and like pretty much going to the field every single
Sure.
day.
Sure.
Like it's fun, but it's like at the end of the season I was gassed. So
Guys all tell me, man, you know that when that break comes, people don't understand. And I tell like any other sport, baseball is a grind though. You're with the guys, man. You need to be able to blend in with them, right? You need to make friends. You can't be a jerk in the clubhouse, which is another part of it. If I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what the organization's looking at too. Is this guy a
yeah.
leader? Does this guy get
Mhm.
along with guys? Is he going to be able to help us mentor, newer dudes? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The team switches so much because obviously guys get traded, guys get moved up, moved down. Just like keeping your cool, like just being a nice guy to pretty much anyone that comes in. Like it just makes it so much easier on yourself, makes it a lot like stress free. So I think just enjoying kind of every step of it because obviously it's a long season. And yeah, I just think just keeping your ground the whole season is
Stay grounded, stay humble, right? Couple of fun
Mhm.
questions, man. We'll get after. If I was to grab your iTunes right now, what do you got? What do you got playing in there? What do you like to warm up to? What do you hit the bullpen with?
Well, I listen to The Weeknd and Don Toliver like on
Okay.
repeat.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite
Got to
artists.
rep Canada. You're repping Canada there.
Yeah, but pregame I just listen to any rap. I don't like I'm not a big country guy. Like I'll listen
Taking
to
over,
country.
dude.
I just don't listen to it by myself.
I'm a big rap guy. Some country, my wife's into it. I'll listen to it, but it's like taking over. I ask that question to a lot of people, and you know what? The same man. It's always Morgan Wallen. I'm like, all right, he's okay, but
Yeah.
he's not that guy. I'll stick with my Wu-Tang. Stick with my rap, man. What's your favorite Michael Jackson song of all time?
Ooh. See, I don't want to sound like plain and say Billie Jean, but like Billie Jean is so good. I'll say what's it called? Is it like Rock With You or something?
Yeah, yeah, that's one. I think
That
the
that
first
one's
one.
that one's good.
That might be his first one ever. I think that's when he still had the fro and he was real young.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh
bro.
yeah,
And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch, man. I wish you nothing but success for the career.
for sure. Thanks for having me on. It was good to talk.
Enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Thank you. You
Thanks, man.
too.